Welcome to Jailverse, where love is never simple and every story hides a twist. From stolen glances to forbidden desires, we bring you GL stories that will make your heart race. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can send a super thanks or buy me a coffee using the link in the description below. Now step into the verse. Season 2. Chapter 57. December 6, 2022, 10 years later. Rows of wooden shelves lined the wall behind the bar, filled with bottles of wine that reflected the dim golden lights above. Someone calmly called Erin's name. Behind the counter, Erin sat slumped on a chair. 2 empty bottles of wine rested in front of her. The voice called her again. It was Jisoo. She called Erin's name repeatedly. Erin frowned slightly in her sleep and softly answered her. Jisoo called her again, louder this time. Erin slowly opened her eyes. Her vision was blurry. She saw Jisoo standing in front of her. But not the Jisoo of today. It was the Jisoo from 10 years ago. Jisoo looked annoyed as she asked Erin if she had completely lost her mind. She said she had only stepped out for a little while, yet Erin had already drowned herself in alcohol. Jisoo picked up one of the empty wine bottles from the counter. Erin stayed quiet for a moment, simply staring at her. Slowly, she wiped the corner of her mouth before speaking. She murmured that Jisoo had finally come back. Erin then lazily called out to her again, asking her to come and have a drink together. Jisoo looked at her with concern. She told Erin that the alcohol clearly had gone to her head. Jisoo said she would make some tea to help her sober up. Erin gave a drunken smile and shook her head. She said she did not want to sober up. Jisoo frowned in confusion. Till smiling faintly, Erin said that she had seen her in a dream. The Jisoo from 10 years ago. Jisoo fell silent in shock. Erin slowly lowered her head and gently rested it against the counter. Her voice softened as she asked Jisoo what she was supposed to do now. Jisoo stood beside her quietly. Erin murmured that she missed her so much. Jisoo could not respond. Through a moment, she slowly sat down beside Erin, still looking at her with disbelief. Jisoo asked why Erin would dream about her when she was standing right there. She then asked what the dream had been about. Erin answered calmly. She said it was about the good old days. She mentioned her mother. Then Yoonhee, Jihyun, and Rin. Erin murmured that she wanted to go back to those days. With a drunken smile, she continued speaking, even though Jisoo had once driven her to the point of despair. Jisoo looked away silently, her expression darkening. Suddenly, Erin grabbed another bottle and drank from it in one long swallow. Jisoo quickly tried to stop her. But Erin pushed her hand away and told her to let her be. Then Erin rested her head on the counter again. Quietly, she asked Jisoo if she had ever loved her. She softly called Jisoo's name again and again. But Jisoo remained silent. Erin's voice grew weaker as she asked how Jisoo had ever thought it was acceptable to treat her so poorly. Till Jisoo said nothing. Then the world around them shifted. Suddenly, Jisoo had Erin pinned against the wall. She leaned closer, her face only inches away. Erin reached up and lightly touched Jisoo's lips. Her voice carried a teasing bitterness as she told Jisoo to stay away. She said she would never forgive her. Erin wondered if things would have been different if she had never confessed that day. December 6, 2012, 10 years before. Erin slowly extended her hand and gave the card to Jisoo. Her fingers trembled slightly. Gathering all her courage, Erin finally spoke. She told Jisoo that she liked her. Students nearby began to stare as the moment unfolded. Jisoo looked at Erin in complete shock. A faint blush spread across her face. That was the day everything began. The day their long mistake started. Chapter 58. Seeing her hesitate, Erin panicked. She quickly told Jisoo to just take the card. She added awkwardly that it might be late, but she hoped Jisoo would not mind it. Jisoo stared at the card in disbelief. Then realization hit her. Her jaw slowly dropped as she asked if that was a love letter. Jisoo looked back at Erin and asked if she had mixed up her medication. Erin's face immediately burned with embarrassment. She quickly covered her face with both hands, blushing intensely. In her mind, she thought bitterly that of all times, why did a crowd have to appear now? Around them, students had begun whispering. Some of them were already pulling out their phones. One girl raised her phone and snapped a photo as she excitedly asked another student if they had heard what just happened. She laughed and said this was definitely going to be the gossip of the year. She added that she was going to post it all over social media because it would be fun. A nearby male student frowned and asked who the ugly girl was, referring to Jisoo. He said he never expected someone like her to be Erin's type. As he prepared to continue mocking them, Jisoo suddenly snapped. She shouted at them to shut up. The male student raised his eyebrow in confusion. Then, without warning, Jisoo grabbed Erin's hand. She pulled Erin behind her protectively. Erin froze in shock. Jisoo pointed angrily at the students and demanded they stop gossiping and recording as if this were some kinds of reality show. She asked loudly if none of them had anything better to do. Behind her, Erin remained silent. Jisoo frowned deeply and continued speaking. She said that if Erin wanted something, she had every right to pursue it without being humiliated. It was Erin's life and her choice. Erin stared at Jisoo, unable to say anything. Then Jisoo suddenly pointed at the male student again and sharply asked if he was jealous because no one had ever confessed to him. The boy looked stunned. He scoffed and replied that no one would want a confession from someone like Erin anyway. Jisoo's expression darkened even more. She warned him to mind his own business. Otherwise, his phone might end up needing repairs. Then she asked him if he believed her. Another girl nearby suddenly panicked and started running away. She said they should leave immediately because she had heard the girl Erin liked practice taekwondo. One by one, the students began backing away. Jisoo remained standing there with a deep frown. She muttered that she hated dealing with people like that. Then she loudly called the group of students losers as they scattered. Behind her, Erin quietly watched everything. Something warm stirred inside her chest. A few moments later, the schoolyard had grown quiet again. Light snow began gently falling from the sky. Erin and Jisoo now sat together at the corner beside the school building. Erin looked away awkwardly, still embarrassed. Beside her, Jisoo carefully read the love letter Erin had given her. Jisoo thought to herself that she could not believe Erin had kept the letter. She remembered writing it last year when she confessed to Erin. Back then, Erin had rejected her. Jisoo had assumed Erin would throw the letter away on her way home. But somehow Erin had kept it all this time. Erin began growing impatient beside her. She silently wondered why Jisoo was taking so long to finish reading it. Jisoo held the paper tightly as she continued reading. When she reached the last part, she suddenly noticed new handwriting added beneath her original words. It was Erin's writing. The message was simple. She liked Jisoo too. Jisoo gulped quietly, her cheeks turning red. She slowly turned toward Erin and calmly asked if she really liked her. Erin panicked immediately. Blushing deeply, she stuttered as she said yes. Then she quickly added that it was only a little bit. She raised her fingers and gestured a tiny gap between them. Erin explained that she liked Jisoo only that much and that it was not a big deal. She held her hand up again to show exactly how small that amount was. Jisoo softly nodded. The space between them suddenly became very quiet. Neither of them looked at each other. For a moment, Jisoo spoke. She thanked Erin for being honest, even if it was only a little. Then she said she had something she needed to tell her. Erin turned toward her in confusion and asked what it was. Jisoo nervously rubbed the back of her neck. She said it was about the mark on her neck. A sudden wave of jealousy passed through Erin. Jisoo calmly explained that the mark had come from Yoonha. She added that Yoonha had confessed to her. Chapter 59. Erin's expression darkened as jealousy filled her eyes. She frowned and demanded to know what Jisoo had just said. Her voice sharpened as she asked if Yoonha had really confessed to her. Then the questions started pouring out. Erin asked how it happened. When it happened. Her teeth clenched as she continued asking if Yoonha had bitten her too and how Yoonha could possibly do something like that. Jisoo blinked in surprise, clearly overwhelmed. She raised a hand and told Erin to slow down, saying that was far too many questions at once. But Erin suddenly grabbed Jisoo's shirt tightly. Her sharp gaze locked onto Jisoo's eyes as she demanded a direct answer. Jisoo only smiled teasingly. She told Erin to give her a moment to process everything first. Then Jisoo began explaining what had happened. 4 days ago. Sighed, Jisoo walked along the sidewalk wearing a cap while Yoonha followed beside her. Yoonha sniffed loudly, wiping her tears as she dramatically complained that the movie had been incredibly sad. Jisoo nodded and agreed that it really was. Two of them had gone to the cinema together to help Jisoo forget about her heartbreak. Ironically, the movie ended up affecting Yoonha even more deeply. Earlier that evening, something unexpected had happened. Yoonha had a very low tolerance for alcohol. The restaurant before the movie, a glass of wine had accidentally been served to her instead of someone else. Both drinks had looked similar, and Yoonha had taken a large gulp before realizing the mistake. Now she was kneeling on the sidewalk, clinging to a streetlight for support while a trash can sat in front of her. She weakly explained to Jisoo that the drink had not even been meant for her, but the glasses were the same color. Everything was spinning. Jisoo crouched beside her with concern and asked if she was able to walk. She suggested giving Yoonha a piggyback ride back to her place. Suddenly Yoonha coughed loudly. Then she slowly looked up at Jisoo with a strange drunken smirk. Her voice slurred as she told Jisoo that she was too good for someone like her. Jisoo looked confused. Yoonha then asked if Jisoo could take responsibility for everything she had said earlier. Jisoo's eyes widened in shock. Before she could react, Yoonha asked what would happen if she started falling for Jisoo. Question caught Jisoo completely off guard. She stared at Yoonha, unsure whether she had heard correctly. Jisoo tried to respond. But before she could say anything, Yoonha suddenly leaned forward and playfully bit Jisoo's neck. Then almost immediately afterward, Yoonha lost consciousness and fell asleep. Present day. Jisoo looked away slightly as she finished the story. With a teasing smile, she told Aaron that was the entire story. Across from her, Erin's face was filled with irritation and jealousy. Her eyebrow twitched as she quickly argued that Yoonha had only been drunk. She insisted that drunken words did not count as a real confession. Jisoo adjusted her glasses calmly and nodded. She agreed that Yoonha had definitely not been in the condition to have a serious conversation. Then she added something else. She said Aaron probably would not believe it, but Yoonha had even face-planted on the way home. Aaron frowned slightly. Then she asked if Jisoo had really given Yoonha a piggyback ride. Jisoo casually replied that she almost did. Aaron looked confused and asked what she meant by almost. Jisoo turned her head away with a playful smile. She said that part was a secret. Then she asked if Aaron was jealous. Aaron stared at her in disbelief, clearly furious. Without another word, Aaron suddenly stood up and began walking away. Jisoo stood up as well but did not follow her. She only asked where Aaron was going. Jisoo had never even answered her confession. Yet Jisoo was still teasing her like this. Aaron muttered that it was none of Jisoo's business and kept walking. Behind her, Jisoo chuckled softly. She thought that it must have taken a lot for Aaron to finally admit her feelings. Maybe she should not have teased her like that. A few moments later, the schoolyard grew quiet again. Light snow slowly began falling from the sky. Jisoo remained seated in the same spot. She held the love letter carefully and began reading it again. For the third time. Her eyes followed every line slowly. Just as she reached the end again, a shadow suddenly fell over her. Jisoo looked up in confusion. A tall male student stood in front of her holding a bottle of water. Other students stood behind him. The boy asked if Aaron had just given her a love letter. Jisoo stuttered nervously as she asked who he was. Without warning, the boy suddenly splashed the entire bottle of water onto Jisoo's head. Jisoo froze in shock, completely stunned. Water dripped down her hair and face. The boy sneered and said their relationship was disgusting. Chapter 60. The three boys cornered Jisoo against the wall. Jisoo felt nervous, but she tried to hide it behind an angry expression. She asked the boy standing in front of her who he was. The boy smirked as if amused by the question. He asked if she really did not know him. Then he introduced himself as Choi Sung-jae. Jisoo frowned and asked why she should know any of them. She demanded to know what they wanted. Choi looked at her with clear disdain. He said that Jisoo and Aaron were a joke. According to him, Aaron was one of the most popular girls in the school, and someone like Jisoo did not match her at all. Jisoo fell silent. Her head lowered slightly as water dripped from her wet hair and clothes. Cold drops slid down her face and chin. Choi continued talking, sounding almost entertained. He said it was crazy and asked why someone like Aaron would ever go for someone like Jisoo. Jisoo did not respond. Choi then added teasingly that Jisoo was also a girl. Jisoo slowly lifted her head and looked at him, one eyebrow slightly raised. One of the boys beside Choi suddenly leaned forward and told him to look at Jisoo carefully. He said he had only just seen her up close. He added that Jisoo actually looked pretty decent now and that the pimple on her face had disappeared. Jisoo stayed quiet, gripping the love letter tightly behind her back. Another boy standing on Choi's left suddenly laughed. He said he had just remembered how dry Jisoo's skin used to be. It had been so dry that it almost looked cracked. He joked that it suddenly made sense why Aaron and Jisoo had become best friends out of nowhere. Choi chuckled. He said he was honestly baffled because love really had a strange way of turning a duck into a swan. He burst into loud laughter. Then he casually told Jisoo not to be stupid because it was not love. The boy standing on his right quickly agreed. He said there was no way something like that could exist between two girls. He suddenly asked what they were going to do about Aaron. Jisoo looked at them in confusion. Choi scoffed and asked what he meant by that. He reminded them that Aaron knew Taekwondo. The boy beside him suddenly nodded as if remembering something important. He said he just had a flashback from their first year. Back then, Aaron had kicked Choi so hard that she cracked two of his front teeth. Choi's face immediately turned red with embarrassment. He quickly told him to shut up. Jisoo quietly looked away. In her mind, she thought Choi had deserved it. Through a moment, Jisoo finally spoke. She said she would report them to the school office. One of the boys tilted his head and asked what exactly she planned to report. Jisoo replied firmly that she would report all of them. The boys began chuckling. One of them asked if she had any proof. Another boy smirked and said he wished he could really give Jisoo a piece of his mind because the situation was so frustrating. Choi only smiled teasingly. He told his former classmate there was no reason to use violence. He reminded them that Jisoo had been hanging around with the student council lately. Then he asked jokingly if they wanted to die. A moment later, Choi suddenly kicked the empty bottle of water on the ground. The bottle skidded loudly across the pavement. The boys laughed again. Choi said it was all just good fun. Sometimes people just needed a way to vent their frustrations. He casually added that whenever he needed to vent, Jisoo happened to be the closest target. Then he asked if Jisoo understood. He added that next time it might involve more than just one bottle. The boys laughed loudly again. After that, they finally began walking away, leaving Jisoo alone by the wall. As they walked off, Choi jokingly suggested that they should place bets on when Jisoo would finally report them to the school office. Their laughter slowly faded. Soon the schoolyard became quiet again. Jisoo stood there silently. Her hand was still gripping the card tightly behind her back. After a moment, she slowly pulled out the love letter and looked down at it. A small smile of relief appeared on her face. She quietly told herself that she was thankful the letter had not gotten drenched. The next morning, cafeteria buzzed with whispers and gossip. Students gathered around tables, talking excitedly about what had happened the previous day. One girl asked if anyone had seen the video. Another student replied that it was strange because the video had not been posted yet. She wondered if it had already been removed. A third student nervously said she did not even want to go near those people anymore. Her friend quickly agreed. At one table near the window, 4 girls sat together with drinks placed in front of them. Jihyun, Aaron, Yoonha, and Jisoo. Jisoo happily focused on eating her food, seemingly unaware of the tension around her. Across the table, Aaron and Yoonha exchanged sharp looks. Both of them were frowning slightly. Jihyun noticed their expressions and looked at them in confusion. Yoonha suddenly spoke up with a bright smile. She lifted her drink casually and said that winter was almost here. She suggested that they should take a trip and get away from all the awkward gossip. Then Yoonha turned toward Jisoo and asked how a week-long trip to Gangwon sounded. Jisoo immediately brightened with excitement. She laughed and said that sounded fun. Without hesitation, she said she was in. For a moment, Aaron remained silent. She watched them carefully, her frown deepening. Then she suddenly spoke. She said she was going too. Jihyun turned toward her in surprise. She asked if Erin had already gotten permission from her mother. Erin looked irritated by the question. She quickly replied that she had. Jihyun's expression brightened immediately. She turned back toward Yoonha with excitement and told her to count them in as well. Chapter 61. Yoonhee sat in front of her computer, quietly working. Behind her, Jihyun paced around the room, gossiping nonstop about Erin and Jisoo. She excitedly repeated everything she had heard about what happened at school. Yoonhee finally turned slightly in her chair as Jihyun kept talking. She calmly summarized what she had just heard. According to Jihyun, Erin had confessed her feelings to Jisoo, and someone had even filmed it. Jihyun nodded quickly. She said she had been completely shocked when she first heard about it. What surprised her even more was that the video had not been posted online yet. Jihyun added that even if it did go public, the principal would probably take it down immediately. Yoonhee frowned slightly and asked if Erin's mother had been informed about the situation. Jihyun paused as she realized something. After thinking for a moment, she admitted that she did not think so. From what she had heard, everyone was pretending that nothing had happened. Yoonhee quietly turned back to her computer. Her expression remained calm, but her thoughts moved quickly. She thought to herself that things were unfolding exactly the way she had expected. Still, there were some unpredictable consequences that she had not fully accounted for. Suddenly, Jihyun grabbed Yoonhee's hand. She called out to her excitedly. Then Jihyun knelt down beside her chair and asked if she could ask for a favor. She explained that she wanted to go skiing with her friends next weekend. It would only be a one-week trip. Yoonhee looked slightly confused and asked where they were planning to go. Jihyun calmly replied that it was a newly opened resort in Gangwon. Yoonhee's expression turned slightly concerned. She reminded Jihyun that the results of her CSAT exam were about to be released soon. She wanted to make sure Jihyun would return in time for any upcoming university application activities. Jihyun chuckled softly. She reassured Yoonhee not to worry and promised that she would not let her down. 1 week later, Jisoo sat inside the bus, quietly humming a song to herself. Suddenly, the driver's voice echoed through the speaker. He told all the passengers to make their way to their seats because the bus would be leaving soon. Yoonha walked over and was about to sit beside Jisoo. However, Erin suddenly rushed forward and grabbed Yoonha, pulling her away from the seat. Two of them immediately started arguing over who would sit next to Jisoo. Their small fight drew a few curious glances from the other passengers. The driver spoke through the speaker again, firmly telling everyone to stay properly seated. A few moments later, the bus finally settled down. Erin sat across the aisle, staring at Yoonha with irritation. Yoonha, on the other hand, leaned back comfortably in the seat beside Jisoo, smirking proudly. Later that night, the bus finally arrived at the resort. The girls stepped inside the lodge where they were greeted by the owner. Erin frowned slightly as the owner apologized to them. He explained that the resort was currently experiencing a very high demand because of the winter season. Because of that, only 3 single rooms were available. Jihyun responded with a sweet smile and politely thanked the owner. She assured him that it would be fine. Then she casually mentioned that it looked like 2 of them would simply have to share a room. Beside her, Erin frowned deeply in irritation. Yoonha suddenly suggested that they could draw straws to decide the rooms fairly. 5 minutes later, Erin proudly held up the straw she had drawn. A smug smile spread across her face. She looked directly at Yoonha with a teasing smirk. Yoonha stared back sharply. Beside her, Jisoo looked completely stunned. Jihyun cheerfully announced the result. For this trip, Erin and Jisoo would be roommates. She then suggested that everyone should rest after the long journey. A few moments later, Jisoo and Erin arrived at their room. The room was quiet. Jisoo immediately lay down on the bed and hugged a pillow tightly against her chest. Her mind raced with panic. She could not calm herself down. She could not believe that she would be sharing a bed with Erin tonight. A second later, she corrected herself in her thoughts. It was not just tonight. They would be sharing the same room for an entire week. A faint blush appeared on Jisoo's face as she hugged the pillow even tighter. Then she began wondering why Erin was taking so long. In the bathroom, hot steam filled the small bathroom as the shower ran. Water poured down slowly over Erin's body. She stood silently under the stream, letting the water hit her head as it slid down her shoulders. Through a moment, Erin lowered her gaze slightly. Then she slowly stepped away from the shower. Droplets of water slid down her skin as she reached for a towel. Erin quietly turned her head and looked toward the bathroom door. Chapter 62. Jisoo suddenly jumped onto the bed. Her face lit up with excitement as the thought hit her again. She was going to share a bed with Erin tonight. The same bed. The exact same bed. Her heart pounded as she rolled around happily on the mattress. In her mind, she imagined waking up every morning and seeing Erin right beside her. The thought alone felt like a dream come true. Overcome with excitement, Jisoo continued rolling around until she suddenly lost her balance. A loud bang echoed through the room as she fell off the bed and hit the floor. Outside on the balcony, Erin immediately rushed back inside. She looked worried as she asked what had happened. Erin looked around the room in confusion but did not see anyone at first. Her brows furrowed as she called out Jisoo's name and asked where she was. A moment later, Jisoo slowly sat up from the floor. She still looked a little dizzy from the fall. Erin turned toward her and stared in disbelief. Jisoo forced an awkward chuckle as she tried to act casual. She quickly explained that she had just been checking if the floor was cold. Then she added that it was for science. Erin simply stared at her with a deep frown. A few moments later, the room had grown quiet. The lights were dim. A single wall lamp glowed warmly, casting soft yellow light across the wooden panels while the rest of the room faded into shadow. Erin lay peacefully on the bed, already asleep. Across the room, Jisoo lay on the opposite bed. Through a while, Jisoo quietly got up. She placed a blanket on the floor and slowly lay down on it. In her mind, she admitted that she had not expected things to feel this difficult. Facing Erin suddenly felt much harder than she had imagined. On the bed, Erin slowly opened her eyes. She quietly called out Jisoo's name. Jisoo turned in confusion. Erin looked down at her and asked why she had chosen to sleep on the floor when the bed was clearly big enough. She also asked if Jisoo was not cold down there. Jisoo quickly replied that she was fine. She tried to explain that it might be more comfortable for Erin if she slept on the floor. Before she could finish, Erin interrupted her. She asked plainly if the floor was somehow more comfortable than the bed. Jisoo frowned slightly, feeling a bit irritated. She said it was not about the bed and insisted that she was not cold. Then she started to say that she thought Erin would be both, but Erin interrupted her again. She explained that this was actually her first time sharing a bed with someone besides her family. Jisoo looked up at her and listened quietly. Erin continued speaking. The most recent memory she had of sleeping beside someone was when she shared a bed with her mother when she was 9 years old. She lowered her gaze slightly. Erin admitted that everything still felt confusing for her right now. But she also said she did not want to feel guilty if Jisoo ended up catching a cold the next morning. She added that it was technically not her fault that there was only one bed in the room. Jisoo had a problem with it. She could complain to the hotel instead of punishing herself by sleeping on the floor. Jisoo's eyes suddenly widened. They sparkled with excitement as she quickly asked if that meant Erin did not mind if she slept on the bed with her. Erin paused for a moment. Then she quietly agreed. The room remained dim, lit only by the soft glow of the wall lamp. Erin lay on one side of the bed with her eyes closed. Through a moment, she began speaking again. First, Jisoo had explored every corner of the bed. Then she moved to the floor. Now she was sleeping as far away as possible from her. Erin turned her head to look at Jisoo. Jisoo had her back facing her and remained silent. Erin frowned slightly. Then she asked if Jisoo was planning to keep the entire blanket to herself too. She scooted a little closer and called Jisoo's name again, this time demanding that she talks to her. Erin asked directly if Jisoo was avoiding her. She also asked if she had done something wrong. Through a short pause, Jisoo finally replied. She said Erin had not done anything wrong. She simply thought tomorrow would be a busy day and suggested that they should just sleep. Erin frowned deeply, clearly irritated. She turned away angrily and muttered that it was fine. Then she warned Jisoo that if she heard her snore, she would kick her off the bed. Jisoo calmly replied that she did not snore. Erin huffed in annoyance and turned to the other side of the bed, silently thinking that Jisoo was stupid. The next morning, Side, a vast snow-covered mountain town stretched across the valley. Tall buildings rose through the fog of falling snow. Pine trees lined the slopes in the distance. Above the town, gondola lifts moved silently along cables, carrying skiers toward the mountain peaks. Soft sunlight filtered through the window blinds, casting long striped shadows across the wall. Side, tree branches swayed gently in the breeze while birds chirped happily. Inside the small room, the warm lamp still glowed above the bed. Jisoo and Aaron slept peacefully. Without realizing it, the distance between them had disappeared during the night. They were now quietly cuddling together in the same bed. Chapter 63. Sunday morning, December 2012. Aaron slowly woke from her sleep. Without realizing it, the distance between them had disappeared during the night. The first thing Aaron noticed was the warmth and weight of someone close to her. Her eyes slowly adjusted. Then she realized what was happening. Jisoo was right beside her. Even worse, they were cuddling. Aaron's eyes widened in shock. She immediately sat up straight. In complete disbelief, she wondered what on earth had happened while they were sleeping. For a brief second, panic rushed through her mind. She quickly looked down at herself, worried that her clothes might have somehow disappeared. After confirming that everything was still intact, she quietly sighed in relief. The room fell silent. The loud ticking of the clock filled the space. Aaron glanced toward it. It was already past 9. She frowned slightly, wondering how she had managed to sleep in so late. Through a moment, her gaze drifted back toward Jisoo. Jisoo was still sound asleep, breathing slowly and peacefully. Inside the room, loud knocking suddenly echoed through the hallway. Yunha's voice followed immediately. She demanded that they open the door. She continued knocking impatiently, shouting that they had already been waiting for over 10 minutes. Beside her, Jihyun stood with a cheerful smile. She quietly wondered to herself when the two of them had suddenly become so close. Yunha knocked again and loudly asked what the two of them were doing inside. Inside the room, Aaron frowned deeply in disbelief. Moments later, cold wind rushed past as Jisoo launched into the air. Her skis cut smoothly through the snow as she landed and glided down the slope with ease. After finishing her run, Jisoo happily walked back toward the others. She felt refreshed, almost as if a burst of energy had filled her body. Yunha clapped proudly and complimented her. She said it had already been a year, yet Jisoo was still skiing like a professional. She was not even using ski poles anymore. Jihyun nodded beside her and agreed. She said it looked like Jisoo had a natural talent for skiing. From afar, Jisoo looked graceful and confident as she moved down the slope. Yunha added that it was incredibly impressive to watch Jisoo glide through the snow like that. Behind them, Aaron stared in disbelief. Jisoo quickly shook her head and disagreed with their praise. She explained that it was not talent at all. She said it was all thanks to her uncle, who had taught her how to ski when she was very young. Yunha looked at her with excitement. She said Jisoo had inspired her, and now she felt determined to improve her own skiing skills. Maybe one day she would be able to ski like Jisoo. Jisoo smiled warmly and told her she had no doubt that Yunha could do it. Behind them, Aaron remained silent. She watched the conversation with a sharp expression, still unable to believe what she was seeing. After a moment, Aaron frowned. The entire situation felt uncomfortable. She slowly stepped forward with the ski poles in her hands. Her body trembled slightly. This was her first time skiing. She wondered if she was about to fall. But she immediately pushed that thought away. There was no way she would let them see her vulnerability. For a moment, she even wondered if there was some way for her to simply disappear from their sight. Erin forced herself to stay calm. She told herself it was nothing. She would figure it out on her own. All she needed to do was keep her cool, watch them carefully and learn. Eventually, she would blend in perfectly. Suddenly, Jisoo called out to her from behind. She asked Erin why she was just standing there and told her to come join them. Jisoo cheerfully suggested that they should all play together. Yunha then spoke teasingly. She said she could not help but notice that Erin had not moved even a little yet. Then she casually asked if everything was okay. Erin frowned, clearly irritated. She quickly replied that she was perfectly fine and that she had simply been taking a moment to enjoy the scenery. Jisoo quietly watched the two of them. Yunha continued teasing. She joked that she had thought Aaron might be a beginner who needed some help. Then she added playfully that she would be happy to teach her the basics. Erin's expression darkened immediately. She turned to Yoonha with visible irritation and asked what she had just said. Yoonha did not respond. She simply smirked. Trying to maintain her pride, Erin lifted her chin slightly. She confidently said that she was sure she could ski just fine. There was no way she could not do it once she felt the desire. Jihyun excitedly agreed. Beside her, Jisoo happily suggested that they should see who the better skier was. Yoonha immediately pushed forward and began sliding down the slope. She quickly gained speed as she raced across the snow. Behind her, Erin slowly followed. But only a few seconds later, her balance slipped. Her skis tangled and she suddenly tripped. Erin began rolling down the slope uncontrollably, gathering snow around her body. Within seconds, she had turned into a giant rolling snowball. The snowball suddenly stopped for a brief moment. Jihyun and Jisoo stared at it in stunned silence. Then the snowball began rolling again. Jisoo frowned in panic and shouted toward Erin, telling her to be careful. Chapter 64. Jisoo frowned in panic and shouted toward Erin, telling her to be careful. Erin kept rolling down the slope uncontrollably. Suddenly, she crashed into a pile of snow. The impact broke apart the snowball surrounding her body, but she ended up stuck deep inside a thick mound of snow. Without wasting a second, Jisoo quickly prepared herself. She gripped her ski poles and immediately launched herself down the slope. Behind her, Jihyun tried to call out for both Jisoo and Erin. She hurried forward, trying to follow them, but a resort guard suddenly stopped her. The guard shouted that they were not allowed to go down there because it was too dangerous. Yoonha tried to argue that their friend was down there. Meanwhile, Jihyun could only stare ahead, realizing that Jisoo had already disappeared far down the slope. She had been incredibly fast. The security guard quickly reassured them that a rescue team would be sent immediately. He also warned them that a snowstorm was approaching. The moment Yoonha and Jihyun heard the word storm, their eyes widened in shock. Farther down the slope, Jisoo continued searching. She loudly called out Erin's name while sliding through the snow. Eventually, she stopped in the middle of the slope. The wind began to grow stronger as snow started falling more heavily around her. Jisoo looked around anxiously and continued shouting Erin's name, asking where she was. Through a moment, a weak voice answered. Erin softly called out that she was there. Jisoo immediately turned toward the sound. She quickly rushed toward Erin and found her stuck inside a deep pile of snow. Relief washed over Jisoo's face when she saw that Erin was still alive. Without hesitation, Jisoo tossed her ski poles aside and began digging through the snow with her hands. She told Erin to hang on because she was getting the snow off her right away. Erin responded calmly, though slightly annoyed. She told Jisoo to be gentle because she had spent a lot of time styling her hair. She warned Jisoo not to ruin it. Jisoo politely agreed while continuing to dig. Through a short moment, Jisoo said she was done. Erin's head slowly popped out of the snow. She looked forward and saw Jisoo kneeling in front of her with a relieved smile. Jisoo said she was thankful that Erin was safe. She admitted that she had been so worried that her heart felt like it had stopped when she saw Erin falling down the slope. Erin remained silent for a moment. Then she looked away, clearly embarrassed. She muttered that it was not even a big deal. Jisoo's expression turned concerned. She asked Erin if she had been hurt anywhere. Jisoo wondered what had driven her to challenge Yoonha like that. Erin lowered her gaze. Quietly, she explained that she hated relying on other people. She said she had always learned everything on her own. Jisoo frowned in disbelief. She could not believe what Erin had just said. She asked if Erin was trying to say that she did not need Jisoo to come looking for her in the middle of a snowstorm. Jisoo added sarcastically that she should have just left Erin buried in the snow, clinging to her ski poles for dear life. Before she could continue, Erin suddenly grabbed a handful of snow and shoved it into Jisoo's mouth. Jisoo immediately began spitting out the snow. She complained that Erin was being mean, especially when she had just come to rescue her. Erin calmly picked up another handful of snow while replying that she never asked Jisoo to rescue her. Jisoo's expression turned upset. She told Erin that she had not come because Erin asked her to. She came because Erin was her friend. Jisoo admitted that maybe Erin did not need her. but she needed to be there for Erin because she cared about her. Erin frowned angrily. She agreed that they were only friends. Because of that, Jisoo should not risk her safety so easily. Erin turned away and began shivering slightly in the cold wind. Inside her mind, regret slowly crept in. She thought that maybe she should never have given that letter to Jisoo. It had already been 2 weeks. Yet Jisoo was still acting as if nothing had happened. Jisoo suddenly noticed that Erin was shivering. Without saying anything, she removed her beanie. Then she gently placed it on Erin's head and told her to keep it on. Erin froze in surprise. She quickly turned toward Jisoo with an irritated frown. She started telling Jisoo that she had already told her to mind her own business and that she was not cold. But before she could finish her sentence, Jisoo suddenly leaned closer. Their faces were only inches apart. In a calm voice, Jisoo told her that it was hard not to care about someone she liked. Erin's cheeks faintly turned red. Jisoo smiled brightly. She suggested that maybe they could try doing things properly this time. Then she gently asked Erin if they could. Erin stared at her, completely speechless. For a moment, she thought Jisoo was about to kiss her. Chapter 65. Jisoo also stared at Erin, her cheeks faintly blushing. Erin slowly closed her eyes, quietly waiting. Jisoo looked at her for a second longer, then a warm smile appeared on her face. Suddenly, Jisoo turned away and let out a soft chuckle. She turned back to Erin with a curious look and asked why she had closed her eyes. Erin's eyes snapped open. Her expression immediately darkened with deep irritation. Without hesitation, she angrily shoved Jisoo's face straight into the snow. Then she stood up and turned away. Behind her, Jisoo quickly lifted her head. Her nose had started bleeding slightly from the impact. Jisoo hurried after Erin, apologizing repeatedly and saying she could not help herself. Erin did not even turn around. She coldly told Jisoo to get out of her sight. Erin began walking toward a small house further down the slope while the snowstorm continued growing stronger. Jisoo chased after her again, warning her not to walk too far because it looked like a snowstorm was coming. Erin angrily told her to leave her alone. Jisoo asked if they could stop for a moment and talk things out first. She quickly apologized for ruining the mood. Then she admitted that she actually had something important she wanted to ask Erin, but she had been trying to wait until Erin was ready. Before Jisoo could finish speaking, Erin suddenly turned around with an angry expression. She sharply told Jisoo that she had no idea what kind of mood Jisoo was talking about. Then she told her not to flatter herself. Jisoo hesitated for a moment. Then she quietly said that what she wanted was a committed relationship. Erin immediately fell silent. She stared at Jisoo with confusion. Jisoo's face slowly turned red as she continued speaking. She admitted that she had been worried about what Erin thought of her. What she wanted was something genuine, and she hoped that was what Erin wanted too. Jisoo nervously began listing what she meant. Maybe things could be different this time. They could go out together after class, watch movies together, hold hands, kiss, or maybe even more things like that. Erin remained silent while looking at her. After a moment, she slowly turned away again with a deep frown. Then she asked that if those were the things Jisoo wanted, why they did not simply go back to what they were doing before. That way, Jisoo could figure out whether she truly wanted it or not. Jisoo went quiet. Her face flushed even more. Suddenly, she reached forward and grabbed Erin's hand. Then she gently held Erin's face between her hands. With a teasing smile, Jisoo warned her that she should not regret this. Jisoo slowly closed her eyes and leaned forward. Snow fell heavily around them as their lips finally met. They began kissing passionately. Erin instinctively tilted her head slightly as Jisoo pushed her gently back against the wall. For a brief moment, Erin slowly opened her eyes. In her mind, she wondered if Jisoo's lips had always been this soft. After a while, Jisoo slowly pulled away. Her face was bright red. She leaned her forehead against Erin's and softly called her name. Erin calmly answered. Jisoo looked at her seriously, almost like she was giving an order. She told Erin that she was not allowed to do things like that with anyone else. Erin's cheeks turned red again. She quietly turned her head away and nodded obediently. Jisoo stared at her in surprise. In her mind, she could not help thinking that Erin had suddenly become very obedient. Chapter 66. Erin and Jisoo finally returned safely to the resort. The moment they stepped inside, Ji-hyun and Yoonha rushed toward them with a worried expression. Ji-hyun said she was relieved that the two of them had finally come back because they had been waiting there for ages. She quickly asked if they had gotten caught in the terrible storm outside. While looking them over, Ji-hyun suddenly noticed something. Erin was limping. Ji-hyun immediately asked why she was walking like that. Erin calmly replied that it was nothing serious. She explained that she had taken a longer route while returning, so her feet were simply a little sore. Yoonha then spoke up. She said that one of the staff members had told them the storm had been extremely fierce. For a moment, they had even feared the worst. Jisoo bowed her head slightly and apologized for making them worry. She also pointed out that it was already getting dark outside. Suddenly, Jisoo stepped closer and pulled Erin into a hug. She confidently told Yoonha and Ji-hyun that there was nothing to worry about because as long as Erin was with her, nothing could hurt her. Erin froze in surprise. Jisoo leaned closer to her and softly asked if she agreed. She added that Erin could always count on her. Erin remained silent, staring at Jisoo in disbelief. Ji-hyun chuckled softly. She commented that the two of them seemed to have grown much closer, which was good news. Beside her, Yoonha stood quietly, her expression slightly jealous. Ji-hyun added that she was now curious about what had happened between them. Erin frowned and gently pushed Jisoo's hand away. She leaned closer and whispered, asking what had gotten into her. People were starting to notice. Jisoo looked confused and asked if they were not together now. She wondered what the issue was. Erin lightly shoved her and turned away. She told Jisoo not to draw unnecessary attention and asked her to keep some distance. Ji-hyun suddenly spoke again. She asked Erin how her foot was doing earlier. She wondered if Erin had hurt herself badly when she fell and asked if she was really all right. Erin smiled nervously and reassured her that she was fine. Ji-hyun then noticed the beanie on Erin's head. She recognized that it belonged to Jisoo. She gently fixed it for her and asked if it had flown off when she fell earlier. Ji-hyun added that it was freezing outside and reminded Erin to take care of herself. They would not want her getting sick, especially in this kind of weather. Erin obediently nodded and said she would be more careful next time. Nearby, Yoonha and Jisoo silently stared at each other. Jisoo slowly began to feel upset. Yoonha noticed the change in her expression. After a moment, Yoonha quietly turned away and let out a heavy sigh. A few moments later, back in their room. The room was filled with Erin's voice. She kept telling Jisoo that she was fine and asked if Jisoo could not hear her clearly. Erin frowned slightly and repeated that it was just a small scratch. Something like that meant nothing to her. Jisoo knelt in front of her without responding. She quietly continued treating Erin's foot. Then Jisoo gently held Erin's foot and began massaging it carefully. Erin looked down at her in confusion and asked what she was doing. Jisoo remained silent, her brows slightly furrowed as she continued. 15 minutes ago. Jisoo and Yoonha had been talking alone. Yoonha had crossed her arms and spoken bluntly. She said that Erin had been crushing on someone perfect for a long time. According to her, that person was amazing at everything. She was prettier than Jisoo, smarter than Jisoo, taller than Jisoo, even more considerate than Jisoo. Jisoo calmly nodded and agreed with every comparison. Yoonha looked at her in frustration and asked why Jisoo had still agreed to get back together with Erin. Jisoo lowered her gaze and quietly admitted that Erin had told her she liked her. She explained that she wanted Erin to see her the same way she saw that perfect person. Jisoo wanted to make Erin fall even harder for her. Then she suddenly asked Yoonha for advice. Yoonha stared at her in disbelief. She jokingly said Jisoo should beg her first before asking for help. Jisoo smiled teasingly and said she was begging. Yoonha then proudly gave her suggestion. She told Jisoo that the best way was to seduce Erin. Jisoo's eyes widened in shock. Yoonha added that if Erin still did not care about Jisoo after that, then it would simply be Erin's loss. 15 minutes later. Back in the present, Jisoo calmly explained what she was doing. She said that since Erin had fallen so hard earlier, she was giving her a massage. Meanwhile, her hands continued gently massaging Erin's foot. Erin fell silent. She quietly watched Jisoo's hands moving carefully over her foot. Jisoo's fingers slowly began caressing her foot as she continued the massage. Erin's cheeks faintly turned pink. Jisoo gently kneaded her foot. Then she suddenly pressed a point underneath her sole. Erin stiffened slightly. She continued silently watching Jisoo. Then Jisoo pressed a little harder. A soft sound escaped Erin's lips. Erin's face instantly turned red in embarrassment. She quickly covered her mouth, realizing what she had just done. Chapter 67. Jisoo immediately looked up at her in concern. She asked if something was wrong, if she had hurt her, and whether she should stop. Erin frowned and quickly said no. Then she coldly told Jisoo not to look up and just keep going. Jisoo obediently lowered her head again and apologized. As she continued rubbing Erin's foot, Jisoo began to wonder if she had done something wrong. Erin did not seem particularly pleased. Jisoo focused more carefully on Erin's foot while continuing the massage. She gently pressed again and noticed how small Erin's foot was. A faint smirk appeared on Jisoo's lips. Without thinking much about it, Jisoo suddenly leaned down and kissed Erin's foot. She quietly wondered to herself how Erin's feet could be so small that she almost wanted to savor them. Erin immediately kicked Jisoo's face hard. The force sent Jisoo stumbling backward. Jisoo covered her face silently without looking at Erin. Meanwhile, Erin glared at her angrily. After a moment, Jisoo asked in an upset voice what the kick had been for. Erin angrily called her a weirdo. She said Jisoo had completely caught her off guard. She never asked Jisoo to kiss her feet and demanded that she just stick to giving a massage. Erin kept calling her a weirdo. Jisoo finally spoke again. She asked why they could not simply be comfortable with each other. Erin looked at her in confusion. Still covering her face, Jisoo admitted that she thought things would be different this time. She asked why Erin kept pushing her away, even when they were alone. Jisoo's words struck Erin. Erin quickly asked what was wrong with her all of a sudden. She added that she had not meant to kick her that hard. Then she asked why Jisoo was suddenly making everything sound so serious. Jisoo quietly replied that she did not know. She admitted that it just felt difficult to even give Erin a simple hug or kiss. Then she asked if she had done something wrong, or if there was something about her that made Erin hesitate. Jisoo continued speaking. She said that whenever she saw Erin with Jihyun, it felt like Erin became a completely different person. Erin smiled so easily around Jihyun. She laughed freely. Erin was momentarily stunned and could not say anything. Jisoo lowered her gaze. She said she only wanted to make Erin happy. But it seemed like Erin did not feel that way. Erin remained silent, her expression slowly tightening as she realized what Jisoo meant. After a moment, Jisoo stood up. She quietly told Erin to forget about it. Then she said she was going out for a while. Jisoo began walking toward the door. Erin watched her leave. First, she thought Jisoo was angry again. But then she quickly shook her head. No. Jisoo was jealous. Erin suddenly covered her mouth, thinking back to what had just happened. She wondered if people actually kissed feet like that. Was that not a little strange? Erin quickly shook herself out of the thought and hurried after Jisoo. Jisoo had only taken a few steps when she paused. Erin caught up to her and turned her around. She firmly told Jisoo to stop right there because she could not leave when they had not finished talking yet. Jisoo looked at her in confusion. Erin lowered her head slightly. Then she quietly thanked Jisoo. Jisoo blinked in confusion, still not understanding. So Erin repeated it. She thanked Jisoo for giving her a massage. Jisoo's eyes suddenly brightened, and a faint blush spread across her face. Then Erin leaned forward. She gently kissed Jisoo on the cheek. Jisoo froze in place, completely speechless. Chapter 68. Jisoo's cheeks were slightly red as she proudly told Yoonha that Erin had kissed her. Then she quickly added that right before bedtime, Erin had suddenly kicked her off the bed. But about 10 minutes later, Erin had quietly peeked over the edge of the bed and softly gestured for Jisoo to come back up, just like before. Remembering it made Jisoo feel shy all over again. At the time, she had been so embarrassed that she could not even turn around to face Erin. Still, the important part was that Erin had kissed her first. Jisoo's eyes sparkled with pride as she repeated that Erin had made the first move. Beside her, Erin stuck out her tongue at Yoonha in annoyance. Yoonha glared back at her irritably. A moment later, Yoonha turned her attention toward another table nearby. Jihyun was standing there, talking on the phone. Yoonha frowned slightly as she watched her. She wondered who Ji-hyun was talking to because she seemed completely absorbed in the conversation. Jisoo nodded in agreement. She mentioned that Ji-hyun had been on the phone for quite a while now. Maybe it was something important. Erin casually added that it might have something to do with her university applications. Both Yoonha and Jisoo looked at her in confusion. Erin calmly continued while holding a glass of milk. She said she was not surprised. Ji-hyun had always been someone who planned her future 10 steps ahead. Jisoo blinked in shock. She asked if Ji-hyun was already dealing with university applications and wondered if she had a specific career in mind. Erin calmly replied that Ji-hyun wanted to become a doctor. Jisoo stared at her, stunned. She asked again to make sure she had heard correctly. Ji-hyun wanted to be a doctor? Yoonha was also surprised to hear that. Just then, Ji-hyun finished her call and slowly walked back toward them. Jisoo noticed her and happily greeted her, saying she was finally back. Ji-hyun approached them and apologized for taking such a long call. Jisoo quickly told her not to worry about it. Yoonha gently called out Ji-hyun's name. She mentioned that graduation was coming soon and asked if everything was going well for her. Ji-hyun smiled softly. She explained that she had just been informed that her academic grades would be released the next day. She also said that X University had raised its scholarship cutoff score this year, and she was not sure whether she would meet the new requirements. Yoonha looked both impressed and surprised. She said that was incredible. Ji-hyun nodded and asked if Yoonha had heard about the university before. She added that it was famous for its medical programs. Yoonha replied excitedly that getting into that university was a dream for many students. Beside her, Erin quietly lowered her gaze while listening. She held her glass of milk and remained silent. Yoonha then confidently told Ji-hyun that she would definitely score high enough. Jisoo chuckled softly in agreement. Then she suddenly asked Ji-hyun something. Since Ji-hyun seemed to be a few years older than them, why had she started school so late? Question caught Ji-hyun off guard. She did not know how to respond. Erin frowned slightly while quietly drinking her milk. Ji-hyun forced a small smile and lowered her gaze. Table fell into an awkward silence. Erin gently placed her glass down. Then she suddenly suggested that since they were already there, they might as well take some pictures together. A few moments later, a photographer stood in front of them with his camera. He looked at the four girls and asked if they were ready. Then he sarcastically said that this was definitely going to be a fantastic shot. The four of them stood awkwardly in front of the camera as the photographer took their photo. After a moment, Ji-hyun and Jisoo walked over to look at the picture. Jisoo frowned and asked why her face looked so strange in the photo. The photographer casually replied that maybe it was simply her expression. Meanwhile, Yoonha quietly spoke up. She apologized and excused herself, saying she needed to use the restroom. Jisoo politely nodded. While Ji-hyun and Jisoo continued talking with the photographer, Erin stood slightly behind them. That moment, a woman walked past. Erin frowned slightly as she watched the woman. Something about her felt strangely familiar. The woman continued walking. Erin followed her with her eyes, wondering why that person seemed so familiar to her. Side snow continued to fall softly from the sky. The large mountain resort stood quietly across the snowy valley. Several tall buildings with balconies lined the slope, their windows reflecting the pale winter light. The woman walked casually through the snowy path. Nearby, Yoonha hugged herself tightly as she walked back toward the resort. Cold wind brushed against her face. She thought to herself that it was freezing outside. She regretted not bringing an extra coat. But going all the way back to the room just to get one would probably waste everyone's time. Just as she reached the entrance area, a soft voice suddenly called out to her. Yoonha stopped. Slowly, she turned around in confusion. Behind her stood the same woman. She approached Yoonha calmly, carrying herself with the confident air of a professional. Thank you for watching GL Verse. If you felt the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. More love, more drama, and more GL stories coming your way. Until the next verse, stay in love.